shores of Nova Scotia to the rocks of Newfoundland, to the streets of Quebec City, I'll be your wandering man. From the Gulf Stream of St. Lawrence out to the prairie song, up in the Rocky Mountains, I'll be wandering on. I'm wandering on. I'm wandering on. Singing your song. I'm wandering on.
I'm here at the Williams Lake Stampede. This is where Canada's finest rodeo cowboys get together every summer for one of Canada's oldest and best rodeos. It's going to be a rootin' tootin' time. So come along with me and let's see what happens.
Arriving at the Williams Lake Stampede, I could feel the magic and excitement of 78 years of Canadian rodeo history. My first stop was to visit Dave Poulsen, a renowned rodeo announcer and author. I wanted to find out his perspective on life at the rodeo.
It was 25 years ago, Wiz. This is my 25th anniversary. I started out in Medicine Hat, Alberta. I had been a competitor, not very good at it, been a rodeo clown. I think I was a little better at that, but I got a phone call from a stock contractor. We talked about the possibility of my announcing a rodeo, but I thought it was one of those we'll do lunch one day kind of conversations, and never hear from him again. 3 days before the start of the Medicine Hat Stampede, I got a call and said, can you be here? We need you. And I went in there. I was absolutely terrified. I was absolutely convinced that I was horrible, but I got through the first one. Worked with a legend that year named Warren Cooper, who was nearing the end of a great career. It was fun to work with him, and god darn it, 25 years later, I'm still doing this stuff. I see my role as several things. I try to educate people. I try to entertain. But most of all, what I want to do is complement what's going on in the arena. They didn't pay to hear me or see me. They paid to see those great rodeo athletes down there, and all I want to do is really complement what's going on in front of the audience. Well, I'd been writing since I was a kid. My parents had lots of books around our house. They read a lot. They read a lot to me and with me. I guess it was a natural progression from that to looking at the cover on the book that had that picture of the author on there and saying, I think I can do that. And I decided to try it. And then it was a natural thing, I think, was for me to write about what I knew something about. And I happen to know about rodeo, so writing and rodeo just went naturally together. I've written 15 in total, and one of my most recent ones is this one right here, which again has that rodeo flavor that we talked about. This is a rodeo biography of 3 people. That's Kelly Armstrong on the cover, a great Canadian bull rider. And the other 2 people that are featured in the book are Monica Wilson, a wonderful barrel racer who actually came from this country out here near Williams Lake as a child. And the third is Dwayne Daines, who's a wonderful story, a Central Alberta bronc rider who broke his back and was very severely injured, but is just an amazing guy, as are all 3 of the people, I think, in the book.
I asked Dave if he could give us a few words of good advice for any aspiring rodeo announcers out there.
The very first thing, you better be very knowledgeable about the sport. Because I was a competitor and I was involved in the sport, I know pretty well, I have a good feel for what goes on in there. I guess a second tip would be love this sport, because you're going to spend an awful lot of time with it, and it's an easy sport to love. And then the third thing is care about your audience. They're the reason that I'm here, and they're the reason that all of us are here. And if it wasn't for them, we'd be doing something else today. And this is just a great stampede. I love coming here. It's such a terrific atmosphere. And I think the thing that I love the most about Williams Lake, there's a couple of things. Number one, this is cowboy country. I mean, these people are the Old West. But secondly, when they get over in that in the grandstand over there across from me, they come to have fun. And they start having fun about 5 seconds after they sit down, and they don't quit until they leave. And it's just a great crowd to work with. Probably the best crowd I work with in rodeo anywhere. What is this? I don't even know. Well, this is the 78th Stampede, But the history of the West around here goes back even further than that. And you're right. This is a big weekend. Everybody comes to town, and they have been doing that for so long, over half a century, 3/4 of a century, and I don't think a lot has changed in terms of the real history, the heritage.
I wanted to find out more about the history and traditions of rodeos in Canada's Wild West. So I went to see Diana French, the curator of one of Canada's best ranch and rodeo museums. She gave me a look back in time to the early days of the Williams Lake Stampede.
It's unique in quite a few ways. It's the only ranching rodeo museum in Western Canada, as far as we know. We have an incredible collection of photographs. I think it's safe to say we have the best collection of ranching and rodeo photographs anywhere. And we also have an incredible collection of saddles, and they date back to 100-year-old side saddles to some very unique ones, including one of Kenny McLean's saddles. These pictures were taken in the 1920s, and we aren't sure who took them. And we also have a lot of photographs from private collections. And one of the photographers that was in Williams Lake for a few years gave us his whole collection of photographs. It's about 100,000, I guess, including his rodeo photographs. We have more pictures than we really know we have because they're mostly cataloged, but they keep coming in because when people know that this is a safe place for their saddles and their pictures and their chaps and whatever they had, we're getting more things all the time.
With knowledge of the past in hand, I returned to the rodeo to meet with director Fred Thomas. I wanted to find out his vision for the future of the Williams Lake Stampede.
Oh, it's great. It's kind of a fun thing. There's a lot of tradition here, and I think that's really why I'm involved in it. And I like the sport of rodeo. I think there's some great camaraderie there, and amongst people. But I think what we want to do is just progressively get a little bit better, have better facilities for our cowboys, have better facilities for the people that come to our rodeo, get the prize money higher, and I think that we would do that over a period of years. I believe there's a great future. We're a small community. We're a community of about 20,000 people, so we don't have access to the numbers of people like, say, Cloverdale does, or Calgary, or those areas. These are kind of real people, real things happen. Kind of grows on you, and I kind of like to see that tradition going. That's kind of the reason why I'm here.
I wanted to spend some more time meeting the real people of Williams Lake. So after enjoying a performance by the Classy Classics and a rather courageous cow, I took in the Canada Day Parade.
TJ, the Texas Longhorn steer, right there. Nicely done. And now, the bow to you, friends. On Canada Day, Jim and Jackie Edwards from Vanscoy, Saskatchewan, and TJ.
I soon discovered why the Canada Day Parade is such an important part of the Stampede weekend. The sights, sounds, and laughter echoed all the way back to the rodeo grounds. There I met with Darren Zeffel. I wanted to find out how this veteran calf roper got his start and how he keeps his edge in the very competitive world of Canadian pro rodeo.
Well, when I started the pro rodeos, I actually filled my membership from semi-pro to pro status right here at Williams Lake. But I started before that. I was riding junior steers when I was 9 years old, 10 years old. And then I moved up, and by the time I got to my eligibility and decided to pick an event, I just started roping calves because I just liked it so much more. There's more to it, more you gotta work with your horse, and it just always fascinated me, still does. I'm focused on the calf mainly. That would be the main thing. Most of it, all the little things, hopefully you've practiced them and they're second nature at home, and I just try and read my calf and look for the first chance to get him roped because it is a timed event and you got to get it on him fast, and then just feel that timing with your horse and get down there and tie him up. Probably desire has more to do with it than anything. You can go 45, 50 years old if you look after your body and stay in shape. I don't know if I'll go that long. See how I feel every spring, I guess. It was different. It's certainly, I guess our bigger rodeos, Calgary, Ponoka, Williams Lake, we get the top competitors here, but when I went to the States, I went to the good rodeos every week instead of staying in a certain region, so you competed probably at a higher level day in and day out. You know, there's the competition at our smaller rodeos up here is certainly the best in Canada, but the top Americans don't show up, and that's certainly another notch above your run-of-the-mill rodeo. Williams Lake here, most of them will be here anyway, or a good percentage of them. This is a real competitive rodeo.
All right, here we go.
One of the biggest draws at the rodeo is the 8-second ride. I was lucky enough to meet with young saddle bronc riders J.R. Redding and Todd Herzog and hear them speak from their hearts about bucking broncs and the cowboy's rebel spirit.
Well, how it works is it's all up to the cowboy how well he does in the rodeo arena. Some people have sponsors to get here going down the road and whatnot, but anything made is just how well the cowboy does in the arena basically is what entails. Williams Lake here, this is a big rodeo. This is probably the third, fourth biggest rodeo in Canada. And to win this here, it'd pay, I believe, $5,000 at this particular rodeo.
And what would that take?
A hell of a good bucking horse and a good cowboy on it. It's all in the saddle bronc riding, it's all spurring motion, how well the animal performs. The cowboys know which ones the good ones are, and every time you enter a rodeo, you try to get the best one you can through the draw, you see. And sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you don't. You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I think you're born with it. I really do. Because this, to somebody in the outside who ain't a rodeo performer, this is crazy. And you're born with it. It's in your blood. I really, truly believe that.
Oh, I'm just trying to get it going right now. This is my first year going for the pro rodeos. I moved up from amateur rodeos I went to last year, and this is what I wanted to be. This is what I want my whole life to be. I tell you, that's the best feeling in the world, being out there on the bucking horse, and it's all a guy lives for once it gets in their blood, like JR said. You know, you're the champion of the world if you make that perfect ride on a bronc. I think it's a great thing for Canada. I think rodeo is a great thing for North America. I tell you, a lot of people I know never been to a rodeo before. They get to one and they watch it a couple times and they meet some cowboys. They watch them ride and they love to come watch it all the time.
I love the sport. I love bronc riding. It's in my blood. Yeah. This is our heritage, I believe, and I'm glad to be a part of it. I really am. And I think there is a little bit of, I don't know what the word is, rebelism or something like that in the cowboy, and I think people see that and appreciate that, and that's what I think part of being a cowboy is all about. It's just like a boxer going in the ring. You know, you mentally prepare for everything, you run everything through your head. You know what you want to do and you know what you have to do, but are you going to do it? nod and go, as they say.
Daniel was raised in the saddle, way up on the Indian land. Spend his days chasing horses, fighting Custer's last stand. Riding the rodeo circuit, he filled his family with pride. Living a life of danger, hanging on for the 8-second ride. 8 seconds to stay in the saddle is the measure of a cowboy's pride. Now his spirit goes on forever, hanging on for the 8-second ride. Daniel, he saw a vision, a hawk floating high on the wind, a coyote laughing and a grinning. He knew the coyote was him. And Daniel dreamed of the old days before the white man came. And Daniel felt like a warrior when he whispered his coyote name. 8 seconds to stay in the saddle is the measure of a cowboy's pride. Now his spirit goes on forever, hanging on for the 8-second ride. 8 seconds to stay in the saddle, it's the measure of a cowboy's pride. Now his spirit goes on forever, hanging on for the 8-second ride.
With all the attention given to the two-legged stars of the rodeo, it's easy to overlook the other stars, the four-legged ones. I met with Robert Popoff at his ranch to get an up-close and personal look at two of those rising stars, coming soon to a rodeo near you.
Oh, they like to eat, but they'll still pierce you with their horns. They'll get you in your right boob and they'll come out your right shoulder blade.
Wow.
And hopefully somebody's got...
So those are longhorn Brahma bulls?
These are Mexican fighting bull Brahma crosses, the most meanest cattle you can get. They're bred to be mean, they're bred to entertain. And as you can see, they got humps and horns. And there's Steppenwolf on the right. I'll get in that arena with them. And maybe that's the last thing I'll do. Be all right. I'll just watch that. God's staying behind you, Robert. That's automatic weapon, not the cap. He's the nephew of Shivers and Blades. He's going to be protected. Well, that one there you got to watch. Look at the horn on that animal. Oh, let me tell you, she's a granddaughter or a daughter of Orange Crush. You've tried Orange Crush, haven't you? Yeah, well, that's her right there. Watch Trina. She can be quite lovable.
But why is she doing that then?
Well, I'll tell you a little secret. When I got these cows, I was the second human being that they ever saw.
Okay.
The situation is we need riders. I got a bullfighter that's from Cache Creek, but he's thinking about leaving town. So it's a matter of producing all the elements for a bull-rama, you know. And I wanted to tie it in with the saloon, and if we, you know, when we're not filming, we've got people who can be coming in for a tour or a party or something, and then they can watch some bulls. But, you know, well, Steppenwolf is a bull that a lot of people mistake for a famous California bull named Wolfman. And he's got that bronco face, that funny looking mask, raccoon looking face and the horns. So I christened him Steppenwolf for the wolf factor. His father apparently, well, his father was taken out of the rodeo circuit because he was a mean enough bull that he was hurting some of the cowboys. So, but myself, people just fall in love with him because of his looks. He's not a bad bull, but he's got the bloodlines to hurt you. I used to be an accountant, and it was kind of boring, so I try to lead an unboring life. And this is, to me, this is if you own bulls and you feed bulls, it kind of makes you kind of a cowboy. It's maybe not a bull boy, but a cowboy. And I like that. You know, it's meaningful. This is the meaningful lifestyle. To be able to find a bull that bucks, and to be able to maybe try and get him at a rodeo, and somebody's going to pay you money to buck him. Then you get to go to the Budweiser tent afterwards and have a Budweiser, or whatever, Miller Genuine Draft, or I mean, it's meaningful. I don't know.
The rodeo weekend passed all too swiftly, and I was a little sad to see it end. But I remembered what the cowboys say, there's always next year. I was leaving Williams Lake a richer man than when I had arrived, richer in memories, friendships, and the certain knowledge that the tradition of rodeo cowboys was alive and well at the Williams Lake Stampede. I could hear a new song in the wind, and I knew it was time to be wandering on.